This is Mission Control Houston with a live view inside the International Space Station. We see Expedition 13 flight engineer in the foreground and Commander Pavel Vinogradov in the background. That was astronaut Jeff Williams inside the Destiny laboratory module. The crew members focusing on preparing for the arrival of the Space Shuttle Discovery and her crew tomorrow. Today, the space station crew will be readying the digital cameras with the 400mm and 800mm lenses they will use during Discovery's approach to take high-resolution photos of the shuttle's heat shield. They also will pressurize the pressurized mating adapter 2 at the end of the U.S. Destiny laboratory where Discovery is scheduled to dock. The crew on board the Space Shuttle Discovery has been preparing for that rendezvous with the complex as well. This morning, a orbital maneuvering system burn, the NC-2 burn, was conducted normally. It's a rendezvous phasing burn to set a course for Discovery to link up with the space station tomorrow morning. The crew also installed the centerline camera that will provide the video view inside the cabin for Commander Steve Lindsay as he approaches the pressurized mating adapter number 2 on the station. Later today, also on the timeline for the Discovery crew is to extend the docking ring extension, which will secure Discovery in place at the space station. The primary focus of the activities today on Flight Day 2 for Discovery's mission is the inspection of the Space Shuttle Discovery's thermal protection system, or heat shield, using the orbiter boom sensor system for the second time. It was debuted on the STS-121 space shuttle mission last July and is used to inspect the wing leading edges and nose cap of the orbiter, which are constructed of reinforced carbon-carbon protective material. That activity is scheduled to get underway shortly as the crew members checked out the Space Shuttle robotic arm earlier and are working on unberthing that boom extension from its latched position on the payload base sill. The crew will start out with a survey of the starboard wing. The whole task of inspecting the reinforced carbon-carbon material takes about 6.5 hours. It's intense work for the crew members. 4 different crew members will be working on that activity throughout the day. Commander Steve Lindsay will be assisting with all of these surveys. Mission Specialist Mike Fossum and Lisa Nowak will be conducting the starboard wing survey, while pilot Mark Kelly and Mission Specialist Stephanie Wilson will be conducting the survey of the nose cone. After that, the survey of the port wing will be conducted by Lisa Nowak and Stephanie Wilson. This video animation shows the unberthing of the orbiter boom sensor system, which is underway. The crew members will actually be manually maneuvering the shuttle robotic arm and the boom inspection system into place, and then the surveys will be conducted using automated pre-programmed commands within the system so that the sensor packages stay within 10 feet of the target and do not impact the orbiter itself. The actual data takes will total about an hour with 20 minutes for each wing and the nose cap. The rest of the 6.5 hours today will consist of the time devoted to carefully move the Canada arm and boom extension into place for the next survey. After those surveys are completed, the orbiter boom sensor system will be put back in its berth on the right sill of Discovery's cargo bay. After the orbiter boom sensor system is put back in place on the sill of Discovery's cargo bay, the shuttle robotic arm itself, with its cameras on the end effector, will be used to photograph the outside of Discovery's cabin, and that will be conducted by Mike Fossum, Lisa Nowak, and Stephanie Wilson. While the shuttle's robotic arm is capable of inspecting part of the thermal protection system on its own, the OBSS, or orbiter boom sensor system, is used to extend that reach to all of the critical areas of the shuttle's wing leading edge and underside. In addition to the robotic arm inspections, astronaut Stephanie Wilson also will take digital handheld camera photos of the orbital maneuvering system, or OMS pods. This is Mission Control Houston. The crew on board the Space Shuttle Discovery is working to prepare to do those surveys of Discovery's heat shield with the orbiter boom sensor system. The Payload Deployment and Retrieval System Officer here in Mission Control reports that the orbiter boom sensor system has been removed from its latched position on the sill of Discovery's cargo bay and now is in a hover position just above the payload bay sill, where the sensor packages will be put through a calibration procedure to prepare for those inspections.
Houston to Discovery with a question.
Discovery Houston, go ahead.
Yeah, should one cycle of the speed power give us all three rings? It's daylight, we got rings on, we can't tell how many.
Steve, we believe the answer to your question is yes, it should give you the high mode with just that cycle.
Okay, we'll stay where we are then.
This is Mission Control Houston with a video camera view looking down the Space Shuttle robotic arm as it's attached to the orbiter boom sensor system. It uses its latching end effector to grab a hold of a grapple fixture to provide power and data transfer between the shuttle robotic arm and the orbiter boom sensor system. The crew on board Discovery is working through procedures to calibrate the laser sensor packages on the end of the boom in preparation for surveys of Discovery's heat shield today.
Houston on LCH activation, wondering if there's any LCS keypad zone violations.
Stand by.
Stand by.
Steve, we believe you're far enough away from everything. There should be no keep out zone violations at this time.
Copy.
This is Mission Control Houston watching a live feed from a camera being operated by the Instrumentation and Communication Officer here in Mission Control Houston. This camera located in the aft of Discovery's payload bay. It was looking back over the aft of the orbiter, or the orbital maneuvering systems, now looking over to the other side of the payload bay.
Houston Discovery, we're troubleshooting the AVIU. We have a good LCC running with good lights on the comm and the laser, but we don't have on the mid-deck a good display yet.
And Discovery Houston, we copy.
This is Mission Control Houston with a view from a camera on the orbiter boom sensor system remote manipulator system.
We'll shot the AVIU down on the mid-deck, and we're still just not getting some lines and stuff. Could it have something to do with the async config or anything like that?
And Discovery Houston, we'll check. In Discovery Houston, Steve, one suggestion we have is with all the hardware hooked up, go ahead and reboot the PGSC.
Yeah, I can do that, but just so you know, I do have good comm with the LCC right now.
Copy.
But I'll go ahead and try that.
On board the Space Shuttle Discovery, the crew is continuing to set up the orbiter boom sensor system for the heat shield inspections today. Commander Steve Lindsay, Mission Specialist Mike Fossum, and Lisa Nowak are working on that activity now. The surveys of the starboard wing have not yet begun. The crew is still working on configuring the inspection boom. The next step will be to calibrate the sensor packages on the end of the boom.
Discovery Houston for your LCC activation.
Go ahead, Rick.
Yeah, guys, we're still thinking about it down here. We don't have any good ideas of things for you to look at, but if you don't need the repeater mode on the PGSC, we suggest you press on. Discovery Houston for LCC, just to make sure we're all on the same page. We're thinking you don't need the repeater mode on the PGSC, since this will just give us the digital camera and LCS images, which are not mandatory for today's activities. I want to know if you think the same.
Yeah, okay. Well, we thought we were setting that up because you guys wanted it, but we can delay that. We're having trouble getting. We think that the connector is not fitting back in properly, so I just rebooted the computer. I'm gonna crank up the LCC again and press whether we get it or not.
Okay, Steve, sounds like a good plan.
Okay, Houston, now we're not getting anything on the computer. I'll start over.
We copy.
This is Mission Control Houston, Commander Steve Lindsay working on getting the interface, the laptop computers at the interface with the data for the boom sensor systems set up.
Discovery Houston for your LCC. Steve, since you guys rebooted the machine, we should have told you this sooner. You're going to need to do LCH deactivation and then repeat LCH activation.
Okay, that explains something. Now I remember it.
This is Mission Control Houston. The surveys of the Space Shuttle's wing leading edges and nose cap will be conducted with the orbiter boom sensor system and its special package of sensors at the end of the boom. Those include a laser dynamic range imager, or LDRI, which will be used for this inspection today. It also includes a laser camera system and an intensified television camera, or ITVC. Also new for STS-121.